Okay, so thank you so much. We're here for the alumni panel. We've got 3 guests that are graduates of the BFA acting program who are joining us. Kate Zulauf, Briana Maia, and Kevin Rivera. And I'd just like to have each of them say a little bit of something about themselves, what they're doing right now. And we'll start with Briana.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Briana. I am an actress turned singer-songwriter. So most of my days now are spent creating for myself, writing songs for myself, and writing and recording music for other artists as well. My 2 primary clients are the twins, who are they're famously known for dancing with Beyonce. So I'm a fan of them. And as well as that, I just wrapped production for my latest music video last night. So that's what I'm up to right now.
Thank you, Bri. Kevin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Andrew Rivera. I am a voice actor. I'm also a huge dork. We were just talking about Pokemon and Sonic the Hedgehog and Pac-Man. Kristen's apparently really good at Pac-Man, so she claims. Totally claimed it. But yeah, I've been doing voiceover in Los Angeles for about 5 years now, and recently been working for the Nickelodeon, Nick Jr., bunch of game companies and a lot of commercial work stuff, and it's been one heck of a ride, and I've been super excited, and I can't wait to talk to you guys more about it. So hello.
Great, thanks, Kevin. And Kate Zulauf.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate. I am an actor primarily based in New York. I just got off a 7-month contract with Norwegian Cruise Line doing Kinky Boots. And yeah, I do that. And then I also got into puppeteering during the pandemic because #pivot. And I also am a stretch specialist. So when I'm not acting, I do some physical therapy work to help pay the bills. So yeah, I gotta do that. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you, Kate. All right, so I'll start us off with our questions. So could you tell us about the steps that you took within your career to get where you currently are? So you graduated from, you could tell them if you want to, when you graduated it from UConn, and the steps that you've taken since then to where you currently are. Why don't we start with Kevin?
Sure. Let's see. When I was in my junior year of college, I had a voice and speech professor by the name of David Allen Stern who gave me a microphone and was like, hey, audition for this thing. And I booked the game that he sent me, and I think Bri was there too with me. The Happy Healthy Homes app. You remember that? Heck yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, we did a little bit of that, and that's kind of like the thing that solidified, like, okay, I want to be a voice actor. Like this, I've thought about it, and trying it made me instantly love it. So when I got out of college, the first thing I did was I took a year off, and I just, got a daytime job at a grocery store. If anybody's been to Aldi at Wallingford, Connecticut, I was there at one point. And stayed there for a year, saved up as much money as I could, and then I took that job and I transferred it over to the West Coast. And when I got there, I was like, okay, like I'm here. I got to start taking classes, which is not usually what students want to hear when you're just trying to get out of school, right? But the thing about voiceover is it's such a different medium, and acting school can teach you the basics of acting and how to master your craft. But then you have to learn this next part, which is the next medium, and the technique behind a microphone and all this stuff and whatnot. And so I took a lot of one-on-one classes with coaches just to learn and master what my voice can sell. And after that, I started taking more classes with group settings. And slowly but surely, I would start getting in more contact with casting directors and other buddies who were in the industry. And the more you keep yourself around the people that love what you love to do, the stronger those connections become. And eventually, I started getting agents and started getting auditions through them. And yeah, I guess the story's been going on ever since. And I've been here recording in my booth. But yeah, that's a good description, right?
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay, so Kate, what about you?
So, I graduated in 2013, and that summer I actually did summer stock at UConn. I got to do a few shows there. I did Music Man and Drowsy Chaperone. And then about 3 weeks after that, I moved straight to New York. I didn't get a lease. I sublet hopped, and I am still doing that 10 years later. And I started auditioning right away. I was grateful because I did get an agent out of our BFA showcase my senior year. So he helped me a lot, but I'm sure the other two can attest to this. Like, you also have to do a lot of open calls and stuff yourself. So I just auditioned as much as I possibly could. I worked 5 side jobs at once at one point. I was an elf in Santaland. I was a receptionist at a hair salon. Like, I was a Chicago girl in Times Square handing out flyers. And then, yeah, like Kevin said, the training doesn't stop with school. I eventually found a acting studio here in the city that I absolutely adore. They're people that I love and will be friends with for life. And I took classes there. And yeah, eventually, I think about 9 months later, being in the city, I booked my first job, which was Disney Cruise Line. And that was my first ship. And then, yeah, ever since then, just bouncing in and out of the city between contracts, regional theater wise, ship wise. I've done 4 ship contracts at this point. Yeah, the training doesn't stop there. That's for sure, Kevin.
Great. Thank you, Kate. Briana.
Hello. So I graduated a year after Kate in 2014. Special shout out to Kate because Kate and I went to high school together too.
We did.
Come on. We out here. But anyway, so I graduated in 2014 and I was really lucky to have my first 2 regional contracts booked. So I graduated and like immediately went to Shake & Co, where Kristen was at the time as well. And then I moved to the city for a couple months, and then I was auditioning, doing the hustle bustle for those 2 months. And I think I was really wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I was doing everything. Like, I was going in for every audition, even things that I really wasn't right for. Then I moved to Syracuse for a couple months for a show, came back to the city, and again, I was just doing everything. I think the biggest and most important step in that time transitioning from school to the real world for me was embracing all of the parts or the pieces of myself that could do a lot of different things and figuring out what I loved. Like, how can I do theater in my way or acting in my way? So sometimes that meant I was doing voiceover work. Sometimes I was a girl in a music video. That was not my lane. Sometimes it meant a commercial where you're just like, you're in the background. Sometimes it meant a play. But I spent the first 2 years really figuring out like what I wanted to do as an actor while doing regional work. In that time, all of the work that I noticed I was getting or that seemed to be pulling me was all based around music and singing. It was a lot of musicals. Even if I was in a straight play, they would ask me to sing or write like a tune. So that's when I started to shift gears and move into the music world. And I think ever since then, I've just been guided to stay on that path. The opportunities have seemed the doors opened quicker than I thought I needed to turn. And yeah, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm tired. I know I'm talking a little but yeah, so now I'm doing music full time, writing, pitching for a lot of artists, writing for myself, and I'm happy about it.
And you're so good.
Yeah.
You're so
Thank you, everybody. All right, another question. What has been the most challenging part of getting to where you are within your career? Kate, you want to start us off?
Sure. Wow. I think it's just been, it's, doing a show is amazing and fun, and it's what I've always wanted to do, so I always feel great in that moment. So it's always the moments in between the contracts that I have to really like focus in and figure out, okay, where do I want to go from here? Do I want to stick on this path, or do I want to stay in the city and be a human for a while and just chill and see my friends and my family? Or am I ready to, audition right away? And especially post-pandemic, there are not as many jobs as there were. Theaters are still working to open again. And I'm very lucky because I just had this one gig, but I'm back in the city and it's Christmas time, so there's not a lot happening right now. Auditions for Christmas happened in August when I was away. So yeah, I think it's the most challenging part is just figuring out where to throw your focus when the job ends and you want to figure out what should be next for me. Am I ready to level up? Am I ready to take class? Do I want to just relax and sit for a bit? Yeah, it's about figuring out where you want to go from here in between those moments for me.
Okay, thanks, Kate. Kevin, you want to give it a go?
Yeah, sure. For me, I think one of the biggest things was figuring out how to market myself. Because I know when I was in acting school, I was so scared of figuring that out. And I realized that it's not something that you're instantly supposed to know. You kind of slowly figure that out as you go. And the other thing is just, even when you figure out what your marketing for yourself is going to be, you have to accept that you're going to change again eventually, and your marketing's going to change. You're going to change. We're human. It's just something that comes, it happens naturally for all of us. And, if you don't know what you're supposed to market yourself as right now, it's totally normal. Don't be stressed out about it, because believe me, the best thing you can do is look back at the work you've already done and just kind of start there. You're not going to be that version forever, though. Remember that. And especially when you get out of school, it's just going to be super different. I think when I first got out of school, I knew that I was Hispanic. So, I tried to make that my marketing thing. But lately, it has been a little bit of me being Hispanic, but also the fact that I'm a huge dork and I like video games and anime and super nerdy stuff. I'm so into that stuff. And when you can find a way to market a part of yourself into that stuff, then it just becomes more and more fun.
Thanks, Kevin. Briana.
I'm gonna bounce off of what Kevin just said, because I think it's so important, you talking about being able to bring yourself into the work. I think my biggest challenge personally was I really had to learn how to release the idea of being a good student or doing what I thought was the right thing to do. I think I got really, everybody knows, I was very in school, I was very I'm working hard. And I graduated, I was still doing that, which is great. Working hard is great. But I think I got so caught up in fitting the character breakdown, or I don't know. I was so caught up in doing it the right way that I was not allowing myself to come through in the work. So I think the way I overcame that is, one, I think exploring other things that make you happy, other things that bring you joy, and allowing those to influence you. Like Kevin talking about you love dorky stuff. I do too. And now that's so important for me to bring out in spaces. I think it's okay to put on my resume. This is on my resume that I can voice Pokemon. I can do those first impressions. Cause then they're like, oh, this girl, what is it? But yeah, I think that was the most challenging thing for me, is releasing that little box I put myself in school.
Great, thanks everybody. Can you tell us what experience at UConn you believe was the most helpful in helping you prepare for your future? Anybody want to volunteer to start that one?
I'll start. I've got a few things because I feel like everything kind of connected together, and that's what made it so solid for me. Something I learned in school was the elements with Greg Webster, and it's weird that he teaches you about how to be water, how to be fire, earth, and all these other different elements, and you're in school going, oh man, I'm paying so much money to be in college to pretend to be fire. This is ridiculous, you know? And then you end up doing real voiceover jobs or acting jobs in general, and you have to use those elements. Like, you have to be a part of that, and you realize that you get a better performance when you start using those things. I think I've used fire, water, earth, and air like a million times in my voiceover career, and a lot of the times, physicality is a really big part of voiceover that you wouldn't have thought was a thing for voiceover because you're just in front of a mic the whole time performing. And so usually you think it's all about just using your voice, but when you need a character that's really intense and like angry, you're using a little bit of fire, right? But also you're channeling your anger into your fist, and so you're doing all these physical things just to get the voice out. So yeah, if it wasn't for my movement classes, I don't know where I'd be with my vocal performances for sure. That's not to say voice and speech also has a big part. If it wasn't for David Allen Stern and Karen Riker, I don't think I'd be able to perform the way I do vocally, which has been an incredible experience to have with the two of them. And also something that Vince Cardinal taught us, which I don't know if any of the acting students have met Vince yet, but Vince, a lot of acting teachers teach about actions and how to use the actions for your lines. But Vince kind of wanted to go even a step further, which was going into description of, okay, what is your action? What is your action trying to make the other person feel? And then the other person has to feel that emotion. So what does that feeling make them want to perform as an action? And what does that action make you feel? Maybe it's just more detailed of the same stuff that you might have learned already in school. And it's super helpful just being as detailed as possible. That's definitely one of the bigger important things I've learned as well.
Great, thank you. Bree, Kate?
I think one of the things, this came up, I was actually doing an interview with a UConn alum, Carly, I don't know how to say her last name, Palestina? Maybe somebody knows her.
Palestina.
Yeah, Palestina. She graduated a few years ago, but I was talking to her about UConn and how we were so appreciative of leaving and having the ability to create our own work. I think, especially I remember freshman year, I felt like so often we were left to, we had a set of guidelines, and it was like, go create something with this set of guidelines. It was AutoCore, yeah, with Greg. And I'm just so grateful that I can, in those in-between moments, like you were talking about, Kate, I'm not super worried. Of course, we're always looking for the next job. It's our job. But I also take great pride and relief in knowing that I have the ability to create, and collaboration, and knowing how to move with an ensemble and with, I don't know. I feel like I'm just really good at being able to work with other people because of my experience with UConn's program.
Thanks, Briana.
For me, there were two things. Class-wise, the progression of the acting program at UConn, it taught me, and I realize this now after doing a few different things, like we learned different styles of acting and creating throughout our years there. We learned Meisner, we've learned Uta Hagen, we did movement, we did Lecoq, we did mask work, like we did all these different things. And I think in the shows that I've done, I've been able, every director directs differently and everyone speaks a different language. So because I had that variety of language taught to me, I was able to figure out what a director wanted. If it didn't match my brain right away, I'd be like, okay, what is this person asking of me? Do they want more movement? How can I use what I learned from Greg in that? For me, Kevin, it was being a tree when I asked, why am I paying all this money to learn how to be a tree? That was my question. And then it was when I was starting to work more in some classical work, I'd go back to with Helene Caval's work and doing classic stuff with her. And we kind of like what Briana was saying, we're taught to create, and we have so much opportunity in school to do that. And sometimes when you're out of school, you don't necessarily feel like that when you're being directed to do something, but there is still, you can bring elements of yourself and elements of what you've learned into that work and figure out how to give them what they want while still doing what you want to do. And then the other thing was, so I was a musical theater baby growing up, and then I chose UConn because I wanted to focus primarily on acting. And when it came to doing the shows at UConn, I didn't necessarily get the roles that I wanted in the years that I was there. And at the time it hurt, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? But what it really did teach me was rejection is real and it happens, and it's not necessarily rejection, it's just you didn't fit the puzzle of that piece. That took me so long to figure out, and it is such a relief. And also when I didn't get the part I wanted, I went to my professors and I was like, what can I do? Like, what can I do better next time? What did I do right? Or what did I think I brought to the table this time? And what can I bring to the table next time? And I do that with every audition that I go on now. It's like, okay, how did I feel that went when I got out of the room? I felt great. I thought I sang well. I thought I connected to this piece well, but then I don't know, my dance wasn't as strong. Okay, my dance wasn't as strong. I got to get back into dance class. It's been a minute, so I should probably go to dance class. So you figure out how to navigate these roles and what you can bring to them. And there is always room for growth with every audition, with every no, with every yes. There's always something that you can bring better next time. And I think UConn really gave me that drive and that permission to fight and continue growing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So can you tell us what you wish you knew as a student surrounding career or career preparation? While you were in school, what you wish that you knew that you had known at that point about career preparation that you found out afterwards?
Anyone else want to take this one? I don't want to start.
I think I have something for you. I would say, something I was saying a little while back with these guys was like, it's okay to receive validation, but also be true to yourself and believe in yourself at the same time. I couldn't begin to tell you how many times I've had somebody that I look up to tell me like, yeah, of course you can do ABC, like do it. And it just kind of frees my brain. Like I feel like I can do anything after somebody has said something like that. It's good to be reminded that it's okay to do whatever you want now, because this is all a creative process. When you're an actor, you're trying to think out the box all the time. And when you're in school, you're taught the rules of acting and like how things work and how to make things believable and blah blah blah. But there is an extent where you're also being given the free will to try something different and try something out of the ordinary that's not always in the status quo, I guess they would say. And I think it's, it is nice when somebody tells you like, of course you can do ABC. This is perfect. Another thing is, I wish that I knew that it's okay to not have the answers. When it comes to like trying to figure out what you want to do with your degree, when I first came into acting school, I was asked by Kristen, like, what do you want to do with this degree? And I had no idea, no clue whatsoever. And I thought college was a really good, a good time for me to just mess around and learn everything that I possibly could until I found something that really piqued my interest, which again led to voiceover throughout my time in college. And that's how I knew I wanted to do it. But if you're someone who's like coming out of college and you're still kind of unsure what you want to be doing, I think it's important to look back at what you've learned and what's something that's really piqued your interest in school these past 4 years, because that's a good direction. It doesn't mean it's going to be permanent. You could change the next year, but just know that, at least you're starting somewhere, and at least it's something that piques your interest. And I think one last thing is, I wish as an actor in my senior year who wanted to be a voice actor, I wish that I knew more about more voice acting programs and more voice acting classes that I could sign up for. And you guys are in luck, because I actually made a list of voice acting classes, and I'd be more than happy to send that all your way. It's something that I really wish I had, because I felt like it helped me progress my career as much as I could. And maybe if I could help you guys out, it could help you guys progress it faster. So that's on me.
That's awesome. Kevin, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will distribute it if you want to send it. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Briana, Kate, anything that you wish that you had known as a student surrounding career or career preparation?
For me, I think it was that BFA showcase. During the time, it felt like the world depended on that showcase, that my life depended on that showcase, that if I didn't pick the perfect 2-minute scene, that I would have no career whatsoever. And that's just not true. So yes, it is important. Yes, you should be dedicated and do well and find stuff that represents who you are. But make sure it represents who you are as a human. It's not who you think you should be, who people are telling you should be. Make sure whatever material you choose, it's a material that you love. Don't do anything that you don't love. You will find that magic scene. It's somewhere. But yeah, I wish I knew it is not life or death, that showcase. Yes, I know I said I did get an agent out of it, and I am grateful for him, but I did leave him like 2 years later. We went our separate ways because the partnership just wasn't what neither of us wanted it to be. So it was amicable and all that, and he did help me get to where I am now. But yeah, it was so much pressure that we all put on ourselves, and just know it is okay. It will be fine. You will have a career, whatever that career you want it to be, you will have it. And it is not dependent on that showcase. So breathe in, breathe out. It'll be fine.
Can I piggyback off of that?
You bet.
When I did my showcase my senior year, I remember I was so set on being like, oh, I'm going to be a voice actor. That's it. I remember I had an agent who reached out to me after the showcase in New York and was like, come down to my office and talk to me. And I went in with my buddy and I was just like, watch this. And I like confidently told this lady, sorry, I'm going to be a voice actor. I'm moving to Los Angeles. And she was just like, oh, okay, well, good luck with that. And I left. And so it's just, to strengthen that position, what Kate just said, like it feels like it's the end of the world if you say no to something like that, but it's really not. Like you have so many opportunities. You're only in your early 20s, right? I mean, your life is going to keep on going and you're going to keep on learning. And that's something to look forward to, is believing in yourself and knowing that it doesn't matter what you decide to do. You're going to be successful if you work hard and go after it.
Thanks.
I want to piggyback off the piggyback.
Double piggybacks.
Double piggyback. So showcase, the thing that I remember feeling like months later was we spent so much time obsessing over the scenes, and like you said, Kate, like making sure it's the perfect scene. It's the perfect scene. And I'll speak for myself. I know I was looking for like types. Like I was trying to find like character types that I was like, I feel like that's what I should be playing. But I spent so much time obsessing over doing the scenes and doing them well that I was not prepared at all for the actual like interviews that came with Showcase. Having to like have the conversations, really like understanding like the art of auditioning. And again, something that I know that I personally lacked was I wasn't bringing myself into the room. So I think that's something that I wish I had more. I invested more time learning in school. Is yes, invest in the work and doing the work, but also investigate how, like, continue to like deep dive in like with yourself so that you really know like what makes you shine, what makes you pop, and how can you always bring that forward to the table in any room you're walking into. I think it brings much more ease and confidence to our space when we're just who we are. Like it's easy to be ourselves. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Making sure I wish I spent more time investigating who I was as the artist in person as opposed to like the really good student.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. All right. So our last question before we break out into different rooms and things, what advice do you have for students or recent graduates looking to do something similar to you now?
For me, I would say this is, I guess, for people who are primarily in school right now. Don't limit yourself. You have such a huge opportunity to take classes in science, math, English, language, because you are at a conservatory program in a liberal arts setting, and don't let that opportunity go to waste. If there is like one even minuscule inkling, you're like, I'd really love to learn Italian. Go take a semester of Italian. Like, who knows what those classes could then lead you to finding later in life. Like I said, I'm a stretch therapist specialist now, and a big part of me wishes I took anatomy in college. So it's things like that. You just never know where your life will take you. So like look at that course catalog and see if there's anything that sparks interest, because you never know what you're going to find.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kevin.
No, you go. No, you got it.
Go, Bree.
Okay.
Go, Bree.
You go, Bree. You go.
Okay. I would also, similar to what you're saying, Kate, I think it's so important to find joy in what you're doing. It's really, as an actor, a performer, an artist in any way, I believe that it's hard. There's no way to like, it's hard. And it's easy to get discouraged when you're auditioning all the time and you're getting those no's and you're just like in a circle, it feels like. So make space to do the things that you love. Find whatever that is. Like Kate said, if there's even like an inkling of curiosity in another space, follow that. Because it's again easy to forget what made us start in the first place, but keeping like our light and like brightness ignited is really important, so that we can bring our best foot forward every time we create. So yeah, make space for the things you love outside of work.
I was totally gonna piggyback off of that. The idea of when you're doing acting professionally for the first few years, like it's gonna feel really lonely because you're focused so much on making your career work that you feel like, oh, there's no time to spend time with friends and family right now. I gotta work. But it's like, no, you should go out and spend time with friends and family and loved ones, because it's something that's good for your health. I think the career is gonna be there no matter what, as long as you want it to keep going. But don't be afraid to tell yourself to take breaks in between, because it's so important for yourself. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy. Especially as a voice actor, when all you're doing is working from home in a studio booth and you don't talk to anybody else in person. You want to go out and hang out with buddies and catch up and call your family and maybe get a dog. I don't know. I've been thinking about doing that lately. Not sure how that's going to work with my recording stuff, but I'll figure it out. Just no barking. No barking's allowed. Also, I guess another thing is being patient. When you step out of school, a lot of us kind of just assume like, man, I just want to be like out in the real world and acting already. I want to be in a movie. I want to be doing this and that. It's not going to happen the first year, maybe the second year either. Maybe you'll be a small extra on a TV show or something. It's not going to be like this instant stardom that you're hoping to God that's what it is. Acting it's all part of a business, and you have to understand that when you got to take time for people to get to know you before you can really start doing all that cool stuff. I always say when you're in your 20s, you're starting over. Like, you're starting from birth as an adult, basically. Like, you're 20 years old, that means you're 0 years old as an adult. Then you're 21, you're a year old. Now you're 2 years old at 22. It just keeps on going. I'm 8 years old as an adult right now, so I'm kind of trying to make 8-year-old Kevin work as hard as he can, right? But I knew that it took time before I could do the things that I wanted to start really doing. And I think understanding that is super helpful, because you're going to be so like in the books trying to focus on your career as hard as you can to make it work and wondering, why isn't anything happening? It's already been 6 months since I've left school. What's going on? It's 100% normal. Go hang out with your family. Focus, have fun, breathe. It's not as scary as the real world seems. I'm saying human like I'm an alien. You got me. I'm from Mars. But no, and I think last but not least, I would say for voice acting specifically, I would say, if you're getting out of school, start getting curious about recording technology like microphones and computer and software and stuff like that. The more curious you can be about that stuff, the easier it's going to be to start getting yourself into it. You don't have to be a master at it. I wasn't a master at it when I first started, and it was very intimidating the first time until I had a friend just show me like, oh, you just click this button, that button. Oh man, it's like way easier than I thought it would be. And, just take it step by step and breathe. Unlike me, I need to breathe more. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. So those are the questions that we had set up in advance. And I believe that we're going to have breakout rooms set up, and you can have an opportunity to visit whoever you would like to speak with.
So before our breakout rooms, we do actually have a couple questions in the chat, and anyone can feel free to add to those as well, so I can read those, and please answer whoever wants to join in. So first question we have is, do you all have a way to handle post-audition stress? After getting through everything, do you have a way to cool down?
How to handle post-audition stress?
Post-audition stress. I go eat. I don't know about you guys, but especially for musical theater, usually female identifying people are asked to go and belt their faces off at 10 a.m. So I can't really eat that much before an audition. It just doesn't sit well in my stomach. So I go have lunch and usually you're going to find a friend, at least one friend in that audition room. So I'll usually go eat after and just enjoy a good meal, treat yourself. That's what I do.
I got Popeyes right around the corner. It's kind of a bad thing for me though. Not fun afterwards. For me, a lot of the post audition stuff, you kind of have to just move on. I know that sounds kind of like really rough, but I just kind of do it and I forget it and I move on and I go to the next thing. I just assume that the audition is the job, and once I've done the audition, the job's over and I can go. And so when I get a call or an email that says, hey, you got this thing from like 3 months ago, I'm like, oh, okay. Did I do that? Okay, cool. That's awesome. But also, keeping yourself entertained. If you're a nerd like me, I'll play a video game or I'll watch something on Netflix. The Witcher is out right now and it's a pretty dang good show, but I hear they're replacing the main actor in the next season, so it's kind of a bummer. But that's okay. It's how I keep myself entertained. I love movies and TV stuff.
Yeah, I like Kevin saying, like having things that you just like to do. Like I know this is something I did in like the last 3 years. I took time to write down all of the things that like make me happy. It could be as simple as like a cup of coffee, feeling my feet in grass, or it could be as like big as like playing Animal Crossing or Pokemon, or like just being outside. I wrote all those things down so I know when I need a moment to recenter or just like feel better, I do one of those things. And I actually make sure I do at least 3 of those things in every day that I have. But especially for like, if you're someone who, you know, may experience like post audition anxiety or stress, I think that will like fade over time.
Yeah.
You do get to a point where it is like Kevin said, it's the job. You go, you do it, and then, you know, you probably have another one the next day. So you might have to go and just look at some more sides. But yeah, finding those little things, it could be simple pleasures that just bring you ease.
Can I actually piggyback off of something? So we talked, Briana and Kevin both mentioned how the audition is the job. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was actually from another UConn alum, Noah Weintraub. He was a senior when I was a freshman. And he told me that getting the job, it's not even the icing on the cake. It is like the little like plastic flowers that they put on top of the cake. What the job is getting to that final callback. That is the job. And then everything after that is just smooth sailing. Once you get it, it's like, okay, yes, you get to get paid to do what you do, which is a beautiful, wonderful thing that we are also lucky to do. But yeah, it's you learn over time. Once I felt like once I learned that, got that piece of advice, it was like, oh, it made each audition more fun, because like that's your time to play. You get a chance to create and do so much and bring yourself to this material. And we talked about letting it go as well. That will become easier in time as well. I was so stressed the first couple of years here with every audition. I was like, oh God, don't look at audition update. Don't even start. Like it's on backstage. I know it's tempting. I still do it. Do your best not to look at audition update. It's this forum on backstage where people are like, did you hear about this? It's just stressful. Like it's go do your work, have fun, enjoy yourself. And then yeah, in time, it'll get easier and easier to let each audition go. Cause like Briana said, you might have another one in a couple of days that you have to prep for. So it's like, yeah. So one at a time.
All right, next question that we have. Did any of you take other dramatic art classes like puppetry, playwriting, tech classes? If so, how did they benefit you, and have you incorporated them into your acting?
I took directing classes in high school and a little bit in college. And for me, something I got out of that was realizing that everybody's human. The director, when you walk into a studio booth or when you walk on a stage and you're practicing with the director, it might seem really intimidating because a lot of the time you're thinking to yourself, oh, he thinks I suck or she thinks I suck. I'm so bad. But really on the other end, the director's going, oh my God, I got to make sure that this angle looks right over here. And then this actor, I got to put him on this corner over here, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're thinking so many other things. They're not thinking to themselves, I hate this person's performance. I'm never hiring them again. You know, I think they'll be more obvious about it if that's how they feel about you. You probably won't talk to them again, you know, but whatever. It's just know that most of the time when somebody's behind the scenes and you're on stage performing, they're not always paying attention to just you. And that should maybe relieve you a little more, because that way there's less pressure on you and more time for you to have fun, you know? If you can have more fun and make yourself laugh, you're most likely going to make the director laugh too.
In school, I don't think arts wise, I don't think I strayed very far from our program. I wish that I did. Like, I wish that I did dive into puppetry back then, because UConn has one of the best puppetry programs in the world. So I wish I did that then, but I had no idea that I enjoyed puppetry until 2 years ago. So I've done a lot of postgraduate work where I found the Jen Waldman studio here in New York. I absolutely love it. I've taken puppetry, script analysis. They have this great 6-week course where you pick one role and you deep dive into that for 6 weeks. And I did that for Wicked and Glinda. So yeah, every class is an opportunity to learn more about yourself and your craft and your process. And like we said at the very beginning of this, the schooling doesn't work. The schooling doesn't end. The training doesn't end. You're always working to better yourself. So just go on Google, ask your friends, ask graduates, stuff that they've really loved. Take the classes Kevin's going to recommend. I plan on asking for that list as well, because you just never know what you're going to find that you enjoy.
Yeah, and in school, the only thing I did, the only thing that I did that strayed a little away from acting was I did independent study in voiceover work. Outside of school, I haven't taken any formal classes, but I keep telling people that I feel like the last 5 years since I've transitioned full time into music, that I really had to become a student again. I really felt like I was starting over. So I had to switch my mindset into being okay, I have to be willing and open to learning. I felt like I was in my own version of grad school, because no, I wasn't in a class, but I was studying. There are so many resources online, y'all. There's so many. You can find almost anything on YouTube. Obviously, if you can find a teacher and if you have the ability to afford it, do that, dive in. But there are also a lot of resources. Just Google, YouTube, study artists you love. If it's voices you love, if it's actors you love, whatever it is, watch a lot of their work. There are a lot of ways to learn. But yeah, I agree with everyone. Always remain a sponge.
Sponge.
All right. Thank you so much to our panelists on their thoughts on everything, and Kristen for moderating. I'd also like to thank Emily Aja Murray from the foundation and putting this panel together. The next thing we are